My name is Gordon. 73. And if you're not surprised, that's the answer. The world doesn't notice the old. Old age is like a shadow that slowly eats away at your body, voice, and meaning. I didn't disappear suddenly, I was erased gradually, like chalk from a school board. Every day, one line at a time. One word at a time. One gesture at a time. I live on the outskirts of town, in a house I once built myself. The wooden shutters creak, but they don't give up. Like me. It's been a long time since I've heard children's laughter nearby. The yard is overgrown with moss. The facade has darkened. But inside, it's clean. I've never been a slob. Old age is no reason to turn into a helpless grandfather with stains on his shirt. I'm a former leader. I still shave every day. In the living room, there's a TV on with no sound. I don't watch, I watch. All this news, all these young faces. I see how they talk, how they lie. Their hands, eyes, jaw muscles. I study in silence. Silence is my university. My day is like ashes. Warm tea. The same blanket. A window through which the future is not visible. The notebook in which I have not written down ideas for a long time is only memories. My son is a banker. His car is as valuable as my house. He and his wife are always busy. They send me fruit and money orders. But I am not hungry. I want to hear my grandson's voice, the real one, the unread phrase, "Hello, Grandpa, how are you?" His eyes glide over me when he arrives. Like an exhibit in a museum, interesting, but not alive. They don't notice me in the store. The young cashier speaks as if I were deaf, "Would you take a package?" And immediately turns away. People don't look me in the eye. They only see old age. For them, I'm nothing, I'm a bug in the program. At the hospital, they tell me to wait. Then they tell me to wait some more. And then someone tells the nurse, "Take the old man away, he's mumbling something." And I just asked if I could take the tests. I didn't mumble. I spoke. Clearly. Calmly. But they don't listen. Because in their eyes, I'm no longer here. They wrote me off. Everyone. Children, acquaintances, society. Like a telegram without an addressee. But they're wrong. I'm still here. Somewhere deep inside me, a fire still burns. Small, like an ember under ashes. But I feel it. Every day, it's stronger. It doesn't warm the body, it warms something deeper. Memory. Essence. Dignity. I'm silent. But I don't forgive anymore. I see everything. I remember everything. And someday it will matter. I used to enter a room and the air would change. People would lower their voices. Straight backs, attentive eyes. They listened to me. They feared me. But more than that, they trusted me. I wasn't born with this. Strength is not given, it is taken. In the 90s, I stood knee-deep in the mud of the market, where everyone was looking for someone to eat first. I started with a stall with auto parts, then warehouses, then logistics. I survived where hundreds fell. Not because I was cruel. But because I was precise. I always played the long game. I didn't have overnight success. I slept in a warehouse under a generator when the lights went out in the winter. I paid people's salaries when I had nothing to eat myself. I took out loans to send my daughter to university in Poland. My son took courses in London. Back then, they still called me every morning. They gave me advice. They thanked me. I bailed out my partners from debt. I shared when I could not share. I was a pillar for others. And not because I was good, but because I was principled. Once I went through betrayal. My closest partner stole everything, accounts, contracts, people. I didn't raise my hand. I raised my head. And in 6 months I got back what I lost, not by force, but by strategy. He disappeared from the market. And I stayed. I had a code. Like a samurai, but a modern one. I didn't work with corruption. I didn't take bribes. I didn't betray my own. They called me Iron Nicholas. And I was like that. Once upon a time, there was an oak cabinet with books in my office, not for show. I reread Sun Tzu, Machiavelli, Dale Carnegie. I studied because I knew, power is not about muscles, but about the mind. And now all this, as if it never happened. An empty phone. Not a single, hello, Dad, how are you, on Fridays. Daughter lives in Spain. On holidays, she sends a postcard with a photo of the beach. Son says there's a lot of work. That grandson has outgrown his grandfather. Outgrown? They forgot who lifted them from their knees. Who kept a roof over their heads when the world was falling apart. Who was their strength when they were still weak. I gave everything. And now it's as if I never existed. The world is moving fast. Young people are moving forward. I don't envy. I don't ask. I'm not a victim. But I remember. And that's my strength now. The scariest thing is not silence. And not loneliness. It's when you're heard and deliberately ignored. Yesterday I dialed my son's number. Just to talk. To hear how he's doing. 3 rings and silence. Then a message, I can't write now, I'll write later. I didn't write. It's the 3rd day. In the evening I saw my grandson, by chance, in the parking lot. He was with a girl. I went up, smiled. Hello, Artem. He seemed embarrassed. He stumbled over a few phrases, and quickly whispered to the girl, this is my grandfather, he's a little old, he doesn't always get his bearings. I heard. And pretended not to hear. I asked him to look at my phone, the contacts were gone. He looked at me with that condescending smile they give to children or dogs that don't understand anything. He laughed. Softly. But he laughed. And I laughed along. Outside. And inside, I wrote it down. There's a line in the clinic. I'm sitting, waiting for my name to be called. Another person walks by, a young man in a suit. He just walks past everyone, nods to the nurse. And she silently opens the door for him. I went up, asked when it was my turn. She looked at me without stopping, it's been a long time, sit down, Grandpa, you've forgotten everything. I didn't forget. I remembered. At the bus stop, bread fell out of the bag. I bent down to pick it up. Slowly, because my back, like everything at this age, crunches and resists. People walked by. One even stepped on it, not on the bread, but on my hand, which was reaching for it. Apology? A look? No. Just, watch where you're climbing, old man. And I look. Now, I always look. They bury me every day, not in a grave, but in indifference. Slowly, without ceremony. And every little thing is like a nail. But I don't swallow anymore. I record. I started a diary, a new one. Not about memories. About facts. Names, dates, situations. Son ignored the call, 2:22 p.m. Tuesday. Grandson humiliated, 6:10 p.m. Saturday. Nurse, 9:37 a.m. Monday. Passerby, 11:50 a.m. Wednesday. These are not complaints. These are cartography. My pain is not weakness. These are accumulations. Like water behind a dam. It doesn't scream. It just grows. Silence is deceptive. Because a storm is brewing in it. And I can already hear the pressure inside me. Something is rattling from within. Something is knocking, asking to come out. Not anger, attentiveness. Not malice, focus. The world thinks I'm nobody. That I've disappeared. They don't see what I'm going to do. I never thought I would break down because of a plastic bag. It was an ordinary autumn day. Fog passed through the streets like an old scarf draped over the shoulders of the city. I was walking out of the store, slowly but surely. In the bag, bread, milk, a pack of tea leaves, and old batteries, which I decided to replace in the remote control. The melody of everyday life. And then my foot slipped. Not for the first time. But this time it was different. The tiles were wet, I fell. Slowly, like in a bad dream. Cold pierced my spine. The bag tore. The bread rolled into a puddle. People walked by. 2 with coffee. 1 with headphones. Someone laughed. I heard the word, nobody needs it. It flew by, as if by chance. But it was a knife. I was lying on the cold sidewalk. Wet, old, despised. And something clicked inside me. Quietly. Like a lock that hasn't locked in a long time. I don't scream. I don't ask for help. I just get up. Alone. Painfully. Slowly. But alone. I walk home in silence. Inside is a storm that I myself am afraid of. In the hallway, right in my shoes, I sit on a stool. Seconds feel like minutes. Then I get up, go to the pantry. I open the closet, then the old safe behind my coat. The combination hasn't changed in 20 years. Fingers remember better than the mind. Inside is dust. And memory. An old push-button phone. My first BlackBerry. A notebook with a leather cover. Copies of documents. Old addresses. Contacts that once saved the business. People who owe me more than they remember. And most importantly, archives. What I saved when I could still afford to foresee. Folders with information. Copies of agreements, property schemes, compromising material. Not on enemies. On my own. On those who forgot where I came from. I remembered everything. I just didn't use it. Because I used to believe in gratitude. In honor. In family. Now I don't. I sat in a dark room, only a desk lamp threw light on the table. The smell of old paper, like smoke, was thick and warm. I spread out my notes. I opened my phone. I entered my password. SIM activation. A few minutes later, I was online again. I found the numbers. Yuri is my former lawyer, now a consultant in a private fund. Ina is an accountant who I got out of debt and who now manages the accounts of the top players. Valerie is a system engineer, my server man, once created a safety net for the bank, now a freelancer. I don't call. Not yet. But I'm already playing. A game I've won dozens of times. Only now with a different goal. I'm sitting at the table. In front of me is a notebook. I write the first word, silently. This will be my strategy. I will not scream. I will not break down the door. I will become the air that compresses around. The shadow that knows all the ways. Once I ran a company. Now I will run reality. Those who despised me will begin to lose themselves. Not from fear. But from themselves. This will not be revenge. This will be the truth, shown without filters. And they will see who they have become. And they will no longer be able to not see. In chess, there is a special beauty in the endgame. Silence, few pieces, but every move is poison. I have always loved this stage. It all depends not on strength, but on vision. I am no longer a grandfather. I am an architect. And I began to build. The first is my son. A famous banker, the face of the fund, a media expert. But he forgot how I once signed guarantees for him for millions to save his business. He forgot that it was my connections that dropped the investigation against him for fraud in 2008. Now is the time to remind him. I sent an anonymous letter, not a threat, not blackmail. Just a copy of the internal audit with the same signatures that I once hid. And a few scans of his emails, saved by my systems guy 15 years ago. The result? My son is called in for an inspection. Panic begins in the fund. Stocks fall. Advisors refuse. The image of the ideal financier is shattered. And I'm silent. The second is the grandson. Artem. Model. Blogger. New generation. He laughed when I asked about the phone. And I knew that his contract with the brand was based on the image, clean, transparent, socially responsible. And then a post appeared on one forum, a video where he insults the staff at a party. 3 years ago. I had the recording. I just watched then. And now, I've used it. The contract, cancelled. The image, shattered. The online wave, devastating. And for the first time he writes to me at night, "Hello, grandfather, how are you?" I don't answer. And he understands this. The third is his mother. My daughter. Her business is an agency that works with ethical investors. In the 90s, I helped her open it through my channels. Now, it's my time again. I'm launching a leak about her company's ties to the oligarch, with whom she once unwittingly collaborated. Just the facts. Just a document that she didn't have time to destroy. Her contracts are frozen. The press is cautiously starting to ask. She calls, twice. I don't pick up the phone. I didn't take revenge. I just took off my masks. They fell by themselves. I send a few more letters. To one of my former acquaintances who said that Mikola is out of his mind. One of them is a local council member. The other is my son's business partner. I send them their own words, cut out of their correspondence. They don't talk about me anymore. There's tension in the house. The phone rings more and more often. The message, "Dad, we need to talk. Grandpa, it's important. Please give me a sign." I read. But I don't answer. Because now my answer is silence. And the silence becomes louder than any scream. On the street, neighbors start nodding at me. Young guys greet each other, quietly, respectfully. In the store, the cashier suddenly asks how my day is. The doctor calls himself, suggests a routine checkup. I didn't do anything publicly. I didn't declare myself. But the city feels it. Because fear is not when you see the enemy. Fear is when the enemy is not visible. But he knows everything. They didn't come noisily. As a rule, people who admit their mistake don't know how to apologize loudly. They come quietly, like drops slowly grinding a stone. The daughter is the first. She stands in the doorway, her face tear-stained, but her eyes sharper than ever before. She doesn't ask. She puts her hand to her mouth, as if she's about to say the name of a family she's forgotten. Her son is behind her. His tie is certainly carelessly tied, he looks exhausted, as if years, not hours, have been eaten away. Artem stands aside, struggling with shame like a dog with a chain. They speak. Not anger, not jealousy, not accusations. More questions. Explanations. Confusion that has turned into a plea, "Give us a chance." Maybe they didn't know how to be silent then, they couldn't listen, because the world demanded brilliance. Maybe now the shine has faded, and only the marker of a simple word remains, "Dad." I listen. I measure each word internally. They look smaller against the backdrop of everything that has happened. But my gaze is like an X-ray. I see behind their words the pieces of truth they don't want to see, their loneliness, their fatigue, their fear of the mirror that reflects their own shadow. I don't speak right away. It's not pride. It's the last lesson I'll have to teach. They were expecting an apology or words that would heal. But I give something else, a silence that forces them to look. They ask for forgiveness. I answer not with words, but with a look, calm, impassive, one that doesn't seek revenge but the hard truth. Their shoulders sag. Some cry. Some laugh as if it's their first real laugh in years. Imagine, people who have forgotten how to be honest with themselves are now forced to look into the eyes of someone they once respected. We talk at length, about the past, about losses, about the right to their own lives. I don't tell them, give me love. I speak with actions that now don't require words, I listen when they speak, I don't intervene when they reach out to hug. My retaliation was not displacement, but demonstration. The truth is harder than any scandal, it hurts deeper, because broken trust cannot be restored with a simple apology. Do you know how it feels to win something you didn't want? It's when people begin to reflect themselves. I didn't want to destroy them, I forced them to become themselves. And that's where my last strength lies, not in revenge, but in transparency. My grandchildren see things differently. They no longer smile when they see old age as a caricature. They see history. And this is what I have learned to wait for the longest, not gratitude, not triumph, but awakening. In the evening they leave, leaving letters and apologies. The phone is silent. The room smells of tea and old paper. I go to the table. I open my diary. I write the last entry, but not as a challenge, not as an ultimatum. This is the lesson I leave behind, not in the hope of getting help, but in the hope that someone will understand one day, old age is not the end. It is another form of strength. It allows you to see people without illusions. Not to punish them, but to show them who they are. I did not get my life back, I gave them the truth back. And that is enough. Silence is not the absence of an answer. It is a tool. He who uses it wisely, wins without noise. I close the notebook. The lamp squeaks softly, like an old clock. I go to the window. The city below is not perfect, but it is alive. And I live with it. My revenge ended not at the moment of the collapse of their prestige, but when they were able to look in the mirror. This is a harder lesson than any punishment. And I may never return to who I was in my power. But I have become someone who knows the price of truth. And this price is my most valuable possession. Subscribe and like this video, more interesting revenge stories of elderly people coming soon.